Certainly, we had a riveting day here in New York yesterday. We had 12 hours of closing arguments, first from the defense and then from the prosecution. The defense spent really the focus of their attack was on Michael Cohen. They wanted to disparage Michael Cohen as best as they could. And the effort was not to say Donald Trump was innocent, but to paint a picture that there was reasonable doubt. Now, if the defense can get away with a juror or two saying that there's not enough reasonable doubt and leads to either an acquittal or a hung jury, a mistrial, they've done their, it's a victory for them, certainly. The prosecution was extremely tough. This for them was about a cover-up, a conspiracy. They kept on hammering away at the evidence, and they basically said, "Listen, Michael Cohen is not a perfect witness. He is a liar. He is a cheat, but he was also Donald Trump's fixer. He was the guy that Donald Trump wanted at his side during all of this." So they made the most of what they could, and they showed the jurors cooperation. They took them through what's called the soup to nuts closing. They went through the entire 7 weeks of their prosecution and really focused on documents 35 and 36, that were crucial, that showed the actual paperwork for the repayment to Michael Cohen. So I thought the prosecution was extremely effective.
Yeah. In a couple of hours, the judge is going to give the jury instructions. And of course, Donald Trump has repeatedly brought into question his impartiality. What can we expect? And I guess, of course, to your point, that those 12 hours of wrapping up, the 7 weeks of testimony, it's only the jurors who have really sat through all the detail here.
Yeah, certainly what's going to happen today, after that long day yesterday, the jurors are going to come in. Judge Michon is going to give them his instructions, and he's going to go through 50 to 60 pages of his own documents to read them exactly what they are going to be deliberating on. That's going to take an hour or two, and then he will charge them into the jury room to begin the deliberations. Now, as I said, the choices here is that if, in fact, one of the 12 jurors or two or three of the jurors can't come to a decision along with the others for a unanimous decision, the judge will speak to them again 2 or 3 times. If this continues to occur and they can't come to a decision, then there's the possibility of a mistrial, although that only happens here in New York 5 or 6% of trials. So we do think there's going to be a verdict, and the verdict could certainly come as early as today. And the jurors are going to be focused on both a felony conviction and a misdemeanor conviction for the charges.
Yeah. You know, we saw Robert De Niro outside the court doing a press conference. It was a little bizarre. He was there on behalf of the Biden team. What did you make of that idea? Do you think it backfired?
You know, I think that was a complete sideshow. It made for a television and some headlines this morning, Raging Bull and so forth, which was funny to see. But the jurors didn't see any of that. They're focused on the testimony. And I would have to say myself, along with the other jury watchers on this trial over the past 7 weeks, have seen how serious the jury has taken this. Even all of the outrageous testimony, the very scandalous and humiliating testimony that Stormy Daniels put Donald Trump through, the jurors were not laughing. They were taking notes. They seemed extremely serious about the mission that they had. And again, this is a historic case. This is the first time that a former United States president has ever faced a criminal prosecution. So they're taking their roles very seriously, and we'll see how, what they think of the testimony.
Yeah, and you know, Barry, I mean, this is, as you point out, like quite unprecedented. And we know that a lot of his other legal cases are not going to get onto the, you know, into court before the election. But if this succeeds, it's going to be convicted criminal Donald Trump.
That's true. I mean, there's been one poll after another here in the U.S. during the course of this trial. The Trump supporters, the MAGA supporters, are diehard in the sense that regardless of what happens, they're going to continue to support him. They would still follow him even if he was behind bars. But the you know, what remains here are the undecided voters, the people out there who still are not sure whether they want Trump or Biden at this point. Again, we haven't had the debates yet between the two candidates, but certainly this trial shows all that baggage that Donald Trump has, all that nightmarish stuff that, you know, that happens behind the scenes, raises questions, of course, about illegal acts. And, you know, and also this trial particularly focus of my book in terms of his predatory behavior over the course of his life. Will women voters be affected by this? All the allegations that Stormy Daniels made, Trump has denied, of course, remains steadfast in denying that he had a sexual encounter with Stormy Daniels, but his team never went after Karen McDougal, the other woman, the Playboy model that was also brought up in this particular case, an affair that allegedly took place when he was just married to Melania and they just had a child. So there's a lot here for citizens to unpack, and whether or not it may affect them when they go into a voting booth remains to be seen.
Yeah. Barry, pleased you could unpack it for us this evening, and we'll wait with interest to see what plays out. Good to talk.
Thank you, Bev.